So not gonna lie, this feels like super odd, and most of the people that are following me, my audience, you guys maybe have no idea that I actually vlogged before, but I did this like kind of pre-COVID, but it's kind of my first foray back into the vlog world. But this is kind of a special conference for me because you might know, or maybe you don't know, that my first job was a convenience store or gas station that my dad owned when I was a kid. So when I was like way too young to even be working, I actually was out there pumping gas and kind of just being, the son of an entrepreneur, just kind of learning everything. But that progressed over time to, kind of running the convenience store, handling a lot of the inventory control, so closing, opening, whatever. That got me into accounting. So there was like a ton of things that really like started from an early age because of convenience stores or gas stations. So you're gonna see like a ton of like really super interesting things that I experienced. This was a joy, honestly. It was a lot of fun because I got to see a lot of things that like brought me back to my childhood, made me think about those like really great memories. So hope you guys enjoy this.
So I'm obviously very out of practice with making vlogs, kind of the vision and execution of storytelling you need in those types of content are kind of a lot different than my typical like talking to a camera for 10 or 15 minutes about subject matter that I'm passionate about. I didn't want to kind of scrap that footage completely though, but I did want to apologize for not capturing the tons of insightful conversations that I had over the 2 days at NACS with some old and new CPG industry friends. Here's the good news though. I recognize that I suck at documenting these types of valuable edutainment moments, so I'm going to start bringing along a camera person when possible. That means if you enjoy or kind of want to see more vlog content, you're in luck. If you prefer the traditional content that I shoot, I'll still have tons of that, and you can skip over the vlogs. But for the remaining part of this content, I wanted to run through a handful of trends that I saw at the NACS Show 2022. I'll start with one that's not kind of directly related to the CPG industry, but still is extremely important to any food or beverage brand that plans on utilizing the convenience retail channel within its sales channel strategy. The first trend is a bit of a kind of like now versus then update on how far things have progressed over the last 5 years. Back in 2017, I went to my first and only NACS show until returning this year, obviously. But I remember sitting in the crowd of some of the kind of educational sessions And a speaker was talking about how convenience retailing was essentially defensible against disruption because of its business model and value proposition to the consumer. I've always leaned digital first and forward thinking, so I question if, at least first, he hadn't been paying attention to how e commerce had been infiltrating other sales channels like the grocery market. Secondly, he was banking too heavily on the legacy established value proposition definition of convenience. And then thirdly, if he was underestimating electrification. It was likely really a combination of those points plus COVID-19 effect tailwinds. But regardless, things looked way different inside the expo hall this year. In 2022, the idea of convenience is as much defined by technology layers or capabilities as it is location proximity. Additionally, California's ambitious electrification goal puts a kind of major wrench into the traditional business model of convenience retailing that optimizes for speed. The average fill up time for gas is only 2 minutes, but the average kind of charge time for electric vehicles is 15 minutes. What does a consumer do with those extra minutes? Right now, first adopters of electric vehicles are accepting a poor charging experience and friction within that experience, but that won't be the case soon. Instead of speed, convenience retailing will need to look at coffee shops or alike for inspiration. To spin this trend back into a CPG related insight, those changes, if it's quick needs, e commerce fulfillment, artificial intelligence for cashierless transactions, robotics to improve food service, or electrification, it will lead to consumers interacting with and thinking about convenience retailers differently. And those CPG brands must stay nimble in the way that they view and utilize the convenience channel. For the second and third trend, I want to talk energy drinks. The first point I want to bring up is around kind of the passing of the guard in the energy drinks category. Yes, Red Bull and Monster Energy are still kicking ass, but the number three spot that's currently filled by Bang Energy is up for grabs. I think most by now know that I consider Jack Oak a good industry friend. I have all the respect in the world for what he's built, even before Bang Energy even was created, and I want to continue seeing him be successful. But that being said, when there's blood in the streets, that's the ideal time within the market to be aggressive. I had a great conversation with both John Feldley, the CEO of Celsius Holdings, and Dan Lorenzu, the CEO of Ghost Lifestyle, around the current momentum and near term outlooks of their brands. Both CEOs were extremely bullish and rightfully so. The energy drink category within the US market will grow about $1.5 billion annually this year. That type of market expansion is creating a beverage category that can not only support the typical like three-man race that happens within the beverage world, but likely increase to four or five brands that have $1 billion in revenue in the next 2 years. That market expansion is also supporting the other trend that I want to mention, and that's what I've dubbed in the past as energy everything. There's no doubt that Americans love their caffeinated drinks, so energy everything was thriving at the NACS Show 2022. It's not only typical energy drinks, but also the explosion in ready to drink coffees, caffeine being added to adjacent beverage categories like hydration, and even further acceleration of the energy drink on premise 2.0 strategy, aka integrating into food service that I talked about a handful of years ago. Another beverage trend that was quite obvious at the NACS Show 2022 was the further convergence of alcoholic and non alcoholic brand portfolios. It seems each side of the beverage world thinks the grass is greener on the other side. I'm a huge believer that beverage IP should be thought about holistically. That will likely lead to more strategic partnerships in the near term and consolidation within the market in the long term. The final trend that I wanted to share about was actually within the food side of the CPG world. Sorry that I didn't add more trends on that side, but While the evolution towards better for you and functional is still definitely happening, there is this alternative strategy emerging within the indulgent snacking space. It's through taking your valuable brand IP and making those offerings smaller. It's not about changing ingredients or bending the knee to herbal this or adaptogen that, but instead being unapologetically indulgent, just kind of smaller. This is partly a shrinkflation play and partly acknowledging that sensible indulgences will always have a place in the consumer's share of stomach. I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video. If you did, consider hitting the like button to support me. Also, help me get to my near-term goal of 2,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button. I'd love to see you join me on this journey, but we need to fix the fact that almost 80% of you that are watching this YouTube video right now are not subscribed to my channel, and that makes me extremely sad. But do want to thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.